Everybody, and welcome to worship at First Parish. My name is Reverend Ann Mason, and I welcome you to worship this morning. Our centering music is Rainbow by Ava Cassidy, arranged by Rip Jackson. Thank you, Rip. This morning, everyone, I am so delighted to be able to welcome into worship with us our new tech team manager, Germaine Gentil. We offer our continued thanks for the many volunteers who have served as what we call our tech wizards and who will continue to help us with our Zoom worship. We couldn't do this without all of you. This morning, right after church, the climate action team is having a forum on this same Zoom link. So I hope that you will all stay for some very important messages from our Lexington Town Sustainability team and come and learn more about climate action and what we can do to help. Our democracy team meeting will be happening on February 3rd at 4 o'clock, and all are invited. Many of you engaged in conversation after last week's service, and this will be a way to continue and enhance that conversation. There are still open spots for the latest session of our Dismantling Racism in Our Town. I hope you remember that this class was designed by members of First Parish, working with other Lexington educators and activists. We would love for everyone to have a chance to participate in this incredible opportunity to be part of this anti-racist cohort. Our call to worship this morning is called "It Begins Now in the Imagination" by the Reverend Gretchen Haley. It starts here, in this moment, in this breath you feel rising in your chest, this beat building between us, the healing, the hunger, the hope, the courage, the calling, the commitment, the drawing out of a new day, begins now in the imagination, in this story that we make together, from our lips to our hands, to our life, our shared life. It starts here with praise and thanksgiving, forgiveness, and this humble centering, confession that we could be wrong, the promise that we make to keep learning, to keep trying, to keep our sense of humor, to keep close, this knowing that we were all in this together. Come, let us begin. Come, let us worship together. Our introit this morning is Pure Imagination, sung by David Meharry with Rip Jackson on piano.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Want to change the world, there's nothing to it. There is no place I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. You will find in your mind there's a world of endless fascination. No more fun place to be than in your imagination. You can dream any dream. You can savor every situation. Life in there's a sensational sensation. If you want to see magic lands, close your eyes and you will see one. If you want to be a dreamer, anytime you please, and please save me one. There is no place to go to compare with your imagination. So go there to be free if you truly wish to be.
Where does our light come from? Where does it go when it goes out? Or does it ever go out? Are we part of a continuum of energy from the infinite beginning, if there ever was a beginning, to the unimaginable nowhere, if something can ever really become nothing? The light is yours for but a short moment. Use it, share it, make it 100 times brighter and pass it to 1,000 others. That is why we are here. That is why we are. As Albert Schweitzer said, at times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Show us your light. Our opening hymn this morning is Gathered Here in the Mystery.
Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near.
Good morning. It is so good to be with you all virtually this morning. I have a story today that is from 1001, excuse me, 1001 Nights. And it is The Three Princes and the Princess. There was once a Sultan of India who had 3 sons. Hussein was the oldest, Ali the middle, and Ahmed was the youngest. Like their father, all of the sons were smart and kind. The Sultan's brother had a daughter named Nahar who lived at the palace with the Sultan and his sons. As the children grew older, the Sultan began to notice that all 3 of his sons were in love with Nahar. As soon as the princess was old enough to get married, all 3 sons approached the Sultan to ask for her hand in marriage. And the Sultan found that he could not choose from among his sons. So he gave them a challenge to win the princess's hand in marriage. The Sultan had a love for rare and unique items. He told the sons that they should go off into the world and each bring back one rare and unique item. And the one who brought back the most unique item would get to marry the princess. Before they left, the 3 sons met at an inn at the edge of town. They agreed to meet again at this inn in exactly 1 year's time. Prince Hussein, the oldest, traveled to Biznagar. He had long heard of the splendor of this kingdom near the shining waters of the coast. And in the market, there was a merchant carrying a raggedy old carpet, and he was advertising it to be for the price of 30 gold coins. Hussein was intrigued. 30 gold coins was a very expensive price for such an old rug. And he beckoned the merchant over and asked him why it was so expensive. The merchant explained that it was not just any rug, it was a magic carpet. And if you sat on it and imagined where you wanted to go, the carpet would instantly transport you. The merchant let Hussein try it out to make sure it wasn't a trick. Hussein and the merchant sat on the rug and were instantly transported to Hussein's room at the inn. Hussein immediately paid for this magic carpet and was sure that he would win the princess's hand in marriage. Meanwhile, Prince Ali, the middle son, traveled for 4 months to Persia. He found a room at an inn in Shiraz. Then he set about finding the object of his search in the same way his older brother had. He spent time with the merchants of Shiraz and looked high and low for an item that would win the hand of the princess. One day, a merchant came through the market holding a glass ball. The merchant called the price of the glass ball at 30 gold coins, a price far too high for a ball of plain clear glass. Ali knew there must be something special about the glass ball and asked the merchant to tell him about it. The glass ball could show you anything you wanted to see. The merchant let Ali try it. Ali, of course, wanted to see the princess, and when he looked into the glass ball, he saw her laughing and talking with her friends. Ali knew he'd found the object of his search. He gladly paid the merchant for the glass ball and set out on his long journey home. Prince Ahmed, the youngest son, traveled to Samarkand. He set about finding his rare, unique object in the same way as his two brothers. And one day in the market, a merchant walked through selling a fake apple for 30 gold pieces. This puzzled him, and like his brothers, Ahmed realized that there must be more to this apple than meets the eye. And he was right. It was a magical apple. Smelling the apple could heal any person, even if that person was at the edge of death. After testing out the apple, Ahmed gladly paid the merchant 30 gold pieces. Sure that he had found the item that would win him the princess's hand, Ahmed began his long journey back to the inn. And exactly 1 year later from when they set out, as planned, the brothers met once again at the inn at the edge of their father's kingdom. They began to show each other what they found on their journeys. Being the easiest item to show off, Prince Ali let Ahmed look through the glass ball. Ahmed, of course, wanted only to see Princess Nurunahar. But what he saw surprised him. The princess was in bed, near death with illness. Ahmed let the other brothers look into the glass as well. The brothers knew they must work together to save her. All three princes got on Hussein's magic carpet, which transported them immediately to the princess's room. Ahmed put his magic apple directly under her nose. As soon as she smelled the apple, Nurunahar was completely healed. The Sultan was impressed with the unique gifts that his sons had brought back. But most importantly, he saw how they all used their magical gifts to work together to save the princess.
Let us now speak together the words of our affirmation of faith, that we may be reminded of how we will move through this world together. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is the time in our service when we ask you to support the vitality of our First Parish community. Please give generously. You may donate to First Parish using the information on the screen or the information that will appear in the chat. Our reading this morning is from Stranger Music by Marina Warner. Magic is not simply a matter of the occult or the esoteric, of astrology, Wicca, and Satanism. It follows processes inherent to human consciousness and connected to constructive and imaginative thought. The faculties of imagination, dream, projection, fantasy are bound up with the faculties of reasoning and essential to making the leap beyond the known into the unknown. At one pole, myth, magic is associated with poetic truth. At the other, the story of science, with inquiry and speculation. It was bound up with understanding physical forces in nature and led to technical and ingenuity and discoveries. Magical thinking structures the processes of imagination, and imagining something can, and sometimes must, precede the fact of the act. It has shaped many features of Western civilization. But its influence has been constantly disavowed since the Enlightenment, and its action and effects, consequently, misunderstood. The issues remain. How do we live with the intrinsic, problematic irrationality of our consciousnesses? How do we make a helpful distinction between religious adherence and an acknowledgement that myth and magic have their own logic and potential, independent of belief in higher powers?
Thank you so much, Ben. My sermon this morning is called The Magic of Imagination. When I was 19, I bought a carpet in the old market of Istanbul. My mother had been spending the year teaching in Turkey, and she invited my sister and I to travel there to visit. What an adventure it was. And to end up in Constantinople, city of dreams, of Turkish coffee, of mosques, and exotic beauty. As almost a rite of passage, my mother took us to the old bazaar, where after many, many cups of chai and many, many more rugs to look at, I finally decided on this beautiful prayer rug. I have valued it my entire life. In whichever dorm room, apartment, or house it has accompanied me. And I have examined it for hours, looking always for the one mistake which was woven in. For as the rug seller told me, only Allah is perfect. So a Muslim will always be sure to incorporate at least one mistake into their work. Carpets, whether magical or not, have always been a thing of beauty and mystery for me. And in the Middle East, they are used in many ways to delineate space. Rolled on the ground, they create ceremonial enclaves. Hung around a bed, they create privacy for intimate encounters. Pointed towards Mecca, they are prayer rugs rolled out 5 times a day. Remember the rugs on the battle green as we held the Muslim vigil a few years ago. These prayer rugs defined the vigil space and became the sacred space for the faithful to pray, present with us on the green. The carpet carves a private world for the user. It is a kind of portable sanctum. With so many ways to create meaning for the user, it is not surprising that the image of a flying carpet would become synonymous with the magical tales of the Arabian Nights. And as a carpet is woven together, so are the stories of this marvelous tale. The text and the textile weave a world of adventure to help the reader leave behind the daily struggles of everyday life. In the story we heard earlier, Prince Hussein finds a carpet in the bazaar. It is a tactile thing of great price. It has been woven, not conjured by a genie. It is for sale, with a value that can be known and paid for with human constructs. It may be magical, but in the story, it is real. And for the reader, as we hear of the prince transported on the carpet with his brothers to the sickbed of his beloved princess, the magic carpet transports us as well to the realm of love and desire, fantasy and wonder. Like one of the genies who stream out of a jar in the pillar of smoke, the tales of 1001 Nights, also called the Arabian Nights, has taken many forms and has answered to many masters. It has been seen in many collections with additions throughout its life, but it has no named author, no fixed table of content, no definitive birthday, and no one linguistic origin. In this collection, we read of Solomon, the wise king of both Hebrew and Muslim sacred literature. We see layers of antique Greek myths and stories which refer to locations in India, Persia, Iraq, Syria, and Egypt. The sacred folklore of the three world religions of the ancient Mediterranean is present in yet another layer, as stories were carried by pilgrims, by traders, and by crusaders as they crossed the land and the sea. The first European translation was by the French Orientalist Antoine Galland. It came out in the early 1700s, and the stories were soon translated into English and published in the London News, where they became wildly popular. In England and France, Oriental fever swept through the salons and coffee houses, inspiring musicians, poets, painters with hundreds of imitations. Think of the influence at the time on European dress and on furniture. This was the time of the sofa, the brocade dressing gown, even coffee itself. In her book, Stranger Magic, Marina Werner Riley comments that the diaspora of the Arabian Nights does in fact resemble the triumphant progress of coffee as it multiplies and metamorphoses from brass thimbles of dark, thick syrup in Damascus and Istanbul and Cairo to today's hybrids like skinny latte and macchiato. Back in the 1730s, even Johann Sebastian Bach wrote a wonderful comic opera called The Coffee Cantata. Like our love for coffee, our love for stories of magic and adventure have crossed cultural boundaries. The central theme of the Arabian Nights is this: Scheherazade has been sentenced to die in the morning by the Sultan, who in a spirit of vengeance has vowed to marry a virgin every night and cut off her head in the morning. Now, I know that's a bit grim. Our heroine, however, volunteered to take the challenge, and she asks to bring her younger sister with her. She has a plan. On the fated first night, the younger sister will ask for a bedtime story, and Scheherazade will tell her one and will continue the telling until dawn. The Sultan, who has been listening, will want to know how the story ends, and so will stay her execution. And this continues with story after story for 1001 nights until finally the Sultan relents. Filled with magical creatures, flying carpets, seduction and trickery and violence, these stories captivated my imagination along with so many readers, painters, and filmmakers over the centuries. Like the Sultan, I too could not bear to leave a story unfinished. I first read these stories as a child, and I remember many forbidden moments with it buried under my covers as I read late into the night. So what is it about the Arabian Nights? which so entranced the European mind of the Enlightenment. Marina Warner wonders if the magic within opened up a vista of spirits that did not command the religious belief of the European reader. The Islamic faith returns to jinns, which is Arabic for genie, as being in existence even before people were created. And the Bible, also written in the Middle East, refers to angels and archangels as mystical creatures. But the Western mind has been shaped to rationality, to rationally disregard such religious possibility. And many Unitarian Universalists are conditioned to reject the supernatural altogether. But the Orientalism of these stories and the exotic nature of them creates a psychological response for the Western reader. In her book, Warner explores how the Western audience finds magic more comfortable when it is wearing foreign dress. If the properties of lust, magic, and cruelty are contained in what is considered foreign culture, then the reader is allowed to enjoy these questionable human traits without assuming that lust, magic, and cruelty are part of oneself. The Western reader is thus protected from seeing their own humanity portrayed in such a way. I think it's important for us to move beyond this sense of separation. We need to be able to see our whole selves, our full humanity in these popular tales, even if we don't like what we see. Readers from all cultures have been equally drawn and repulsed by the vivid enchantment and the oh so human behavior of these tales. Now, with the rise and popularity of all kinds of magical stories, from the magic realism of Gabriela Garcia Marquez to Jorge Luis Borges or Salman Rushdie, through J.R.R. Tolkien to the Harry Potter series, readers are drawn to the magical elements of creative fiction. Why is this? Is it simply a matter of escapism? But Warner thinks not. It is the flight of fancy through stories that defy rationality, that help the reader unblock the limits of reason itself. She says the faculties of imagination, dream, projection, and fantasy are bound up with the faculties of reasoning and are essential to making the leap beyond the known into the unknown. So my friends, in these days of trial and tribulation, when we are striving to find new pathways of living, new ways to break the cycles of oppression and poverty, and new patterns of inclusive conversation, perhaps we need to give our tired, rational brains a break. Instead of opening the daily newspaper and delving into yet another analysis of our political craziness, perhaps you should get yourself a well-worn copy of the Tales of 1001 Nights. And when you fly away on a magic carpet, perhaps you will be able to see the world from a whole new perspective. And if you're very lucky, perhaps these tales of genies and tricksters, of love and passion, of jealousy and power, will help you get a new understanding of what it means to be human. And for me, this is the true religious quest. Amen, and blessed be. My friends, I am so excited to be able to introduce our anthem sung by Ewan Jobling. When I was Ewan's age, when I wasn't reading the Arabian Nights, I was deep in the Frank Baum series about the magical land of Oz. And so now we will hear Somewhere Over the Rainbow by Harold Arlen.
There's a land that I heard of
Thank you so much, Ewan. It was just so wonderful to hear. Beautiful. Thank you. My friends, I'd like to invite you into a space for prayer and meditation, an open, relaxed, and easy space where you can take some time to delve into the workings of your own heart. Take a breath with me, will you? Sit back in your chair. Feel your back as it expands with each breath. Picture again that rainbow somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. What is the land that you dream of? Can you see yourself traveling there? In this time of isolation, of staying at home, of practicing utmost caution, our traveling happens through our imagination, maybe even while seated on a carpet of dreams. Allow yourself for this precious moment in time to see what it is you truly hope for. And as joyful things or sorrowful things begin to rise in you, which you would like to share, please write them in the chat as we play some music for us. Please join me in a moment of prayer. Creative Spirit of life, we lift up all the thoughts, the worries, the hopes, and the struggles of this congregation. May those who have sought the vaccine for themselves or their loved ones find their way. May those who struggle with illness and suffering feel the support and the love of this congregation. May those who feel isolated move into a space of being alone but not lonely. And may the spark of creative imagination fill us all with energy and with such new vision that we will find ourselves working together to bring this new world into a tangible reality of love and acceptance and equity for all. Amen. I invite you to join us in singing our closing hymn, Immortal Invisible.
Immortal, invisible, God only wise, in light inaccessible, hid from our eyes. Most blessed, most glorious, the Ancient of Days, mighty, victorious, thy great name we praise. Unresting, unhasting, and silent as night, nor wanting, nor wasting, thou rulest in might. Thy justice like mountains, high soaring above, thy clouds which are fountains of goodness and love. To all life thou givest, to great and to small. In all life thou livest, the true life of all. O Lord, we would render, oh, help us to see, is only the splendor of light hideth thee.
Our benediction this morning are the words by Susan Van Dresser. Let us sing the magic of imagination by which we know one another and learn the lives of eras gone by. Let us sing the magic of creation by which we build the world of our soul and teach its wisdom to others, young and old. Let us sing the magic of our lives together, holding and shaping by the moment of breath, from heart to lung, all new life that is to come. Go now with singing. Go now with magic in your fingertips. Touch this world with life. Our postlude this morning is Children of the Earth, arranged by Rip Jackson.
Instead of virtual coffee hour this morning, all are invited to stay on Zoom to participate in our forum. sponsored by the Climate Action Team here at First Parish. Today, we will learn about the town of Lexington's plans for sustainability. Now, climate action, the climate issue, of course, is huge worldwide and enormous. We need to figure out ways to make it local, to see how it applies to our town, our neighborhoods. This is a way to do this so that each neighborhood, each town, and hopefully many others besides Lexington can work locally to affect global climate issues.